Good morning. I use that Control-Alt-Delete button pretty often now that I think about it.
I'd like to do that on a couple of co-hosts every once in a while, but
Oh.
doesn't work that way. All right, Mary, explain to us what's going on with this new version of the Affordable Care Act. What's going on here?
So here's the current state of play. Republicans right now, they're feeling pretty good. They're hopeful that this time around they may finally be able to pull this off, fulfill their signature promise to repeal and replace Obamacare. President Trump says the bill has a very good chance, and the Republican leader has said he intends to hold a vote next week. But there's still a big sticking point, the votes. Republicans can only afford to lose 2 votes. Already, Senator Rand Paul has said he's a no, and several other key Republicans are wavering. They're concerned about the impacts of this bill. They have questions and concerns about the way this bill is being rushed through. So right now, Republicans still don't have the votes to have a vote.
So explain why a Susan Collins or a Lisa Murkowski would vote yes on this but no on the other one.
Well, that's the big question, right? So most of the people who are voicing concerns now are the same people who had concerns and tanked the last go-round, right? Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and John McCain. All eyes are on them. And since they did vote no to the last one, that's the big question. What is in this bill that would make them get on board? Now, a lot of them have said they're going to do what's best for their states, so they're looking to their governor. John McCain, for instance, his governor has said he's on board with the bill, but John McCain still has some serious issues and concerns with this bill. And a lot of other governors, a lot of medical associations, insurance groups have come out and said they actually feel that this bill is worse for the American people than the last go-round. So this is going to come down to the wire. But remember, the reason there's this rush all of a sudden is that Republicans are up against a deadline on September 30th, so just 5 working days from now. Republicans, that's the last time they'll be able to repeal and replace Obamacare with just a simple majority vote. After that date, if they want to do anything on Obamacare, they're going to have to do it with Democrats, which most likely means they're not going to be able to fulfill their promise of a full repeal and replace because, as you can imagine, Democrats have something else in mind.
All right, not that any of us really understand all of these Senate rules, but why?
You and me both.
Why is this September 30th? Why is that the day the rule changes? That doesn't make any sense.
So it's tied to reconciliation. They're trying to get through this health care bill attached to reconciliation, and there's a clock on that, right? I believe it's a 6-month clock. So they're coming to the end of that window, which means that if they wanted to give it another go, they'd have to tie it to another effort of reconciliation, and that's not looking likely. So they sort of had this set window by which they could get this done with just 50 votes. And once they go past that point, then you're going to have to reach across the aisle.
Was it Blue Cross Blue Shield who came out who said that this is going to wreak havoc for insurance markets?
Exactly. And a lot of this plan, a lot of people are still trying to figure out what this is it really in this bill. They're tweaking it up until the last second. And there's a lot of concerns about the stability in the marketplace, right? Insurers like that. They want to know what they're getting so they can set rates and let Americans know what they're going to be charged, how their premiums will be impacted, how many, could potentially stand to lose coverage, and we just don't know yet. Remember, the way this bill works essentially is that it would end the Obamacare subsidies and the Medicaid expansion, get rid of the Obamacare mandate, and give power back to the states, give states a lot more flexibility to provide coverage as they see fit. But they'd have to do so with less federal funding overall. So when you're an insurer looking to figure out how you're going to set your rates, well, it would probably differ state by state and depend on how states plan to go ahead and change the rules, how they plan to change their coverage going forward. That's a big unknown.
Mary, Bruce, one last quick question. How much is Jimmy Kimmel affecting this argument?
Yeah, he certainly put a spotlight on it, right? He is putting Bill Cassidy, he's one of the architects of this latest bill, on notice. Jimmy Kimmel's accused Bill Cassidy of lying right to his face when Cassidy came on his show earlier in the year and promised him that anything that they pursued would protect coverage, for people with pre-existing conditions. Now, I talked to Senator Cassidy yesterday, and he says Jimmy Kimmel's got it wrong. He says this bill does have coverage for people with pre-existing conditions, but it's not quite cut and dried. Look, there is language in this bill that includes coverage for people with pre-existing conditions, but it includes no guarantees. It just says that if states decide to waive this coverage, they have to show that they're providing adequate and affordable coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. Well, how do you define that? How do you enforce that? So experts we've talked to say it is likely and possible that some people with pre-existing conditions could end up being charged more under this plan.
Stay tuned there. Mary Bruce, I would never Control-Alt-Delete you. You're always welcome here.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming
Always
in.
a pleasure.